Welcome to Backyard Bitch. I'm Aiden Jones and I'm the Backyard Bitch. A bit of a sad day today. I had to pull up my tomato plants, which were the first plants that I put down when I started in this new garden in November. And I watched them grow from little seedlings all the way up to full plants, and then they were fruiting all summer, and I was eating the tomatoes. And it's getting into the colder weather in autumn, and they're not going to be able to survive through the winter. I want to use those garden beds for some other crops, so I had to pull them out, and it was a bit of an emotional moment, just having seen them grow and flourish. So before I pulled them out, they did have a bunch of green tomatoes on them, and I wasn't going to wait around for those to get ripe because I think the weather was too cold. The tomato plants were the vines are already looking pretty dead, so I decided to pick those tomatoes off, green as they were. They were all pretty much like this. It's been an emotional day. I've picked them off and I've put them in. I got a little box here that I put them in, as you can see, with some bananas. I got some lemons in there. I didn't actually put that in there. My housemate put that in there, but I'm sure that's fine. You've probably heard about how putting bananas next to your avocados helps your avocados ripen, and I've done a bit of reading into it, and the reason it's bananas, first of all, is because bananas produce the most ethylene gas of any fruit. They give this gas off, especially when they're really ripe. A bunch of other fruits, you can use apples or you can look up which fruits produce ethylene gas, but bananas are the best ones. And the way that works is if you put them next to tomatoes or a bunch of other different fruits, ethylene is kind of like a growth hormone for plants, and it basically makes the tomatoes think that they're getting older. It's like the plant equivalent of listening to the music that you grew up with as a kid, It makes them realize that they're aging and moving closer to death, and as such, it encourages the ripening process. So yeah, I've got those bananas and the tomatoes in there, hopefully making those last tomatoes of the season ripe, going from green to red. You fucking know what tomatoes are like. Anyway, I think it's so cool that even after you pick bananas, they're not even on the trees. I just bought them at the supermarket, but they're still giving off this ethylene gas, which helps other plants ripen. They're still alive. And you can pick these plants and they're not even done growing yet. Does that make sense? You can pick them and they're green, and then you just have them in your kitchen and they're not in the ground or attached to anything, but they're still growing, they're still alive, even after you take them off of the plant and put them in your fucking cupboards. It's crazy. They're like zombie plants or something, but you don't shoot them in the head or put a cross up to their face. You fucking put them on your pasta. It's really weird to me that just putting fruit in a box next to each other like that. You can see this one here is already starting. I picked that and it was completely green, and it's already got little bits of red coming through on it after just a few days in the box, They're alive. It's alive! The emotional thing for me was the moment when I had to dig the plants up. It even took me a few days to kind of ready myself of okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually commit. I'm pulling the plants up. They're done, So here's a video of me digging up my tomato plants out of my garden, set to a song called When She Loved Me off of Toy Story 2, if you remember, that I learned to play on piano as a way of giving it this is going to be a tribute, to the tomatoes. I had so much fun learning this song, and I thought it would be perfect as a soundtrack to me saying goodbye. Somebody loved me. Everything was beautiful. Every hour we
spent together lives within my heart. When she was sad, I was there to dry her tears. And when she was happy, so was I. When she loved me. Through the summer and the fall, we had each other, that was all. Just she and I together, like it was meant to be. When she was low, I was there to comfort her. And I knew that she loved me. So the years went by, I stayed the same. She began to drift away. I was left alone. Still I waited for the day when she'd say, I will always love you. Leanne forgot, never thought she'd look my way. She smiled at me and held me just like she used to do. Like she loved me when she loved me. When somebody loved me, everything was beautiful. Every hour we spent together. When she loved me.
Yum!